Okay, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you're joining us from today. My name is Johanna Siakus, and I work with the Transport Sector Office at the Asian Development Bank. And I'd like to warmly welcome you to today's e-mobility webinar with the topic of EV secondhand market development Korean case study by our colleague Jiwoon Kang. And as you know, the webinar series is organized under the umbrella of the e-mobility support and investment platform for Asia and the Pacific. This is a platform that aims to build capacity and support the scale-up of financing of e-mobility initiatives. It's operated by ADB and co-implemented by UNEP, as well as co-financed by the Global Environment Facility, the GEF. So we are arranging webinars every 2 weeks as part of this webinar series. And you can now see the upcoming webinars on the screen. Our next webinar, there has been some changes in the schedule, but we are happy to have Sharvari Patki from WRI India present on the acceleration of freight electrification in India. So that will be a very interesting webinar. I hope you can join us then. And also for the other upcoming webinars, we'll share the link to Sharvari's webinar in the chat in a bit. And before kicking off today's webinar, I'd like to share with you an invitation to ADB's flagship event, the Asia and the Pacific Transport Forum 2024. This is hosted by ADB in its headquarters in Manila. And it takes place between 14th and 17th of May. The main event is on the 14th to 15th of May, and then there's capacity development training type of events held on 16th and 17th of May. The event will focus on ADB as the climate bank and how the transport sector can decarbonize as well as ensure climate resilience of transport infrastructure. Apart from this climate change angle, transport will be presented as an enabler of development. Also, topics like gender, digitalization, road safety are on the agenda. On the screen, you can see some of the speakers and panelists of the event. This includes Jamie Bautista, Secretary of the Department of Transportation, the Philippines. We also have Susana Samataro, who's actually not on the screen, but she's the Director General of the International Road Federation. And we have many different officials and representatives from our partner organizations, including the 2050 Pathways Platform, UNESCAP, ITDP, the International Association of Public Transport, etc. So you can scan the link in the corner to register in case you want to join us. We'll also share the link in the chat, and please do not hesitate to contact us if you have any further questions relating to the Transport Forum. So for now, I'll hand over to Tom Fleming from our implementing partner, Integrated Transport Planning. He will be moderating today's session, and he'll guide you through the house rules and then introduce Jiwoon, our speaker. So thanks, Tom, for taking over.
Thank you so much, Johanna. So just to begin with some house rules, many of you who've been here before will be familiar with these. To ensure smooth running of today's webinar, all microphones will remain muted. However, we do encourage you to post any questions that you have for Jiwoon in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screens, and I will pose them at the end of the session as part of the Q&A that follows the presentation. And the webinar, you can all see the webinar has been recorded and will be shared online afterwards. So next slide, please. So now let me introduce today's speaker. It's Mr. Jiwoon Kang. Jiwoon is a senior transport specialist at the Asian Development Bank. His background is in policy and strategy development in the field of climate resilient and sustainable transport, and his work emphasizes the use of advanced digital and electrification technologies to develop e-mobility and ITS systems in Asia. Jiwoon holds a Master's of Science in Civil Engineering from the University of Washington, and Jiwoon will be presenting today a case study on the development of the second-hand EV market in the Republic of Korea. So hopefully this will be of use and interest to you all. Without further ado, I'll hand over to Jiwoon to take us through his slides. To you.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you for introduction. Yeah, good to see you, everyone. Let me share my slide first. Do you see Tom?
I can, yes, Jiwoon. So you're good to go.
Oh, yeah. Let me begin my presentation. So since last year's ADB with UNEP have been operating electric mobility platform across the Asia and the Pacific. And last year, we found that the EV second-hand market is very crucial and important for many regions to promote EV uptake across Asia and the Pacific. And that's why today I come up with the EV second-hand market development for Korean case study. So in 2023, last year, there has been newly registered total vehicle in Korea was 1,700 K, and among those total vehicles, battery electric vehicle BEV was only 9%, as well as there was hybrid EV and plug-in hybrid EV, 21%. So you can add up those BEV and HEV and PHEV in total 30% newly registered last year in Korea. When you look at the total number of registered vehicle in Korea, it's like 26,000 K now in Korea. And among those, less than 10% are HEV, PHEV, and BEV. And BEV itself is only 2% currently, but we can say those numbers are increasing rapidly in the upcoming futures. So we can say why battery is so important to think about the second-hand EV vehicle. Currently, battery takes the significant part of electric vehicles' weight, space, performance, as well as safety and the price. Therefore, EV's residual values will be notably impacted by the state of health, so-called SOH of battery. EV batteries typically degrade due to temperature, cycles, and time. On average, they only degrade at a rate of 2 to 3% of maximum capacity per year, with only proper operation and care. So it means if you don't properly deal with the battery, they degrade more than 2 or 3%. So degradation of battery goes faster or slower, fully depending on how you drive EV, as well as how you charge EV, like fast charging, slow charging. There is many difference for affecting battery performance every day. And you can easily find through the internet or whatever, YouTube or any sources, you can easily find the interesting test result of a long time EV operation as of now. So we can say, therefore, the reliability of secondhand EVs, the price of EVs is fully in line with how accurate we can verify the performance of battery. And allegedly, we can say there is a 400% difference can be made depending on how we have been operating the battery, I mean, the electric vehicle. So let's take a look at first how batteries are warranted by car makes in Korea. Hyundai and Kia, the representing Korean car makes, are providing a battery warranty up to 10 years or 160K kilometers. It is, of course, varies by model, but it's from 160 to 200 kilometers in Korea. And Tesla provides 8 years warranty or 160 and 240 kilometers, 240K kilometers in Korea. So the manufacturers I just mentioned guarantee a minimum of 70% of maximum capacity of battery during the same conditions. And when it comes to the US government mandates the EV manufacturers to warranty batteries for 8 years or 100K miles. And that is approximately 160K kilometers. And the California states extends that kind of warranty to 10 years and 150 miles, 50K miles. So for your reference, in the cases of ICE vehicle, internal combustion engine vehicles, on average, normally we have a warranty for 5 years or 60K miles. So you can say those EVs are having more warranty than the existing ICE vehicles. The second-hand market supports the entire car industry, as you well know, right? The market is fully composed of divided by new car market and the second-hand market. And in the long term, the price of used car affects the one of new car of the same make and the model. So Korea is one of the early countries that adopted policies for encouraging EV uptake. And since 2016, purchase subsidies have been provided to the car manufacturers when the buyers are make purchasements for the EV. And there is a law in Korea. So under the Clean Air Conservation Act in Korea, a mandatory period to operate or possess the EV has been imposed to the buyers and at the same time to the manufacturers of EV for those the subsidies were given. So the main content of the law is like EV owners cannot sell the vehicle to a third party for 2 years, and EV manufacturers and used market operators, second-hand market operators must ensure that those vehicles are operated in Korea for at least 5 years. So those EVs with subsidy should stay within the territory of Korea for 5 years. Otherwise, those subsidies can be refunded to the government. The share of EVs in Korea started rapidly expand around 2019, and in line with the mandatory purchase periods, those second-hand EVs begin to appear on the market around 2021 because there was a 2-year mandatory purchasing period. But however, the second-hand market normally they are mostly experienced with only international combustion engine vehicles, ICE vehicles. So they are lacking the technical and institutional capabilities to properly distribute EVs. So you can say there are many mechanics. They can handle many mechanics who can handle ICE vehicle, but that does not mean those mechanics have a good knowledge about those EVs. And most importantly, the manufacturer's battery warranty alone was insufficient to build the trust in the second-hand transactions. They only guarantee 70% of battery performance. And as I told you, there can be up to 400% difference can be made, right? Depending on how you have been operating EVs. So there has been less trust in the battery performance. And it means those difficulties in EV distribution in the second-hand market have been seriously hindered the new EV sales. So the Korea government, they needed an effective policy to make it work. And those difficulties in EV second-hand market also has a negative impact on EV manufacturers as well, because EVs were traded at low prices in the second-hand market, eventually lead to the poor sales of new EVs, and further, it affects the declining in the prices of new EV. So you can say like the vicious circle within the market, EV market. So the Korea government come up with several policies to promote EV second-hand market. And the first one was they allowed car manufacturers to enter the second-hand market since 2022. And the promotion of EV second-hand market was one of the reasons for that kind of policy reform. Because in Korea, to protect the small and medium-sized the market, those big car manufacturers could not enter the second-hand market. But from 2022, they allowed those Hyundai, Kia, Tesla can enter the second-hand market. Currently, EV manufacturers in Korea, such as like Hyundai, Kia, and Tesla, support the trading of used EVs through their own respective second-hand platforms. And as one of these measures to support second-hand trade, EV manufacturers verify and guarantee the overall performance of the second-hand EVs, including the state of health of battery. So the picture in this slide is actually showing, I'm sorry, it's written in Korean. It's the kiosk, the web page, because obviously for 5 years, those cars cannot be sold to the foreign country. They have no reason to be, providing the website in English. So it was only in Korean. But anyway, this is a website for their second-hand market, the second-hand EV market only for Kia brand. And now they are showing the performance of a battery like AAA, for example, this one. And it says 60% to 100% guarantee of the battery performance. So the car makes itself guarantee the performance of the status of EV, including the conditions of battery. And in addition, Korea government supports the R&D for technologies to evaluate and certify battery performance and the remaining life in a way to promote the second-hand trade. Currently in Korea, there is a public agency that performs technical inspection and performance evaluation for IC vehicles. However, this agency does not have reliable competency to evaluate EV's performance, including a battery. So the government is seeking solutions through partnerships with the private sector. So you can say it's a PPP model. And a few other third-party battery certification services based on this PPP model are emerging now in Korea. In the meantime, the Korean Agency for Technology and Standards has established the safety standard for reusable battery, so-called KC 131, to encourage the battery reuse and recycling. So when you look at further of those third-party battery performance certification system, there are two types of services to certify the battery performance. One is so-called premium service, and the other one is a quick service. So when you look at the premium service, it costs $150, and it takes 10 days of analysis to evaluate the battery performance. So these are the guidelines showing up, telling you how to evaluate your battery performance with their OBU, small devices given by the service provider. So when you connect those the small the device into your OBD slot within your car, and you recharge and consume the battery in line with their guidelines, and they can estimate the performance of your the battery of your EV within 10 days for premium service, and it can be very quick, like 20-minute duration. So, and it is so-called quick service. So, and on the left side, there is a certification they issue, right? So, and those are also in line with the public agency. So the public agency actually endorse their business activities, right? So those are not only provided by the private sector, but also the public side of the Korea government also endorse their business as a certificator in a way or another. So yeah, what types of takeaways from Korean cases, and what are the remaining issues we have? Like, I can say, to promote the EV second-hand market, capability to measure residual value of EV, including a battery, must be developed first. Intervention by EV car makers, like I just made an example of Hyundai, Kia, and Tesla, that the strengthening the second-hand market's own capability, and that's a British model. And a third-party certification services based on PPP model can be a good solution for those activities. And the residual value of battery varies greatly depending on how it has been managed. So on enabling environments where batteries are properly managed by educated drivers can maximize the effect of EV development and deployment. And currently, it is difficult to say that the relationship between battery performance and EV price, second-hand EV price, is objectively quantified. But as second-hand EVs trading gradually becomes more popular, the correlationship between battery and the price will be derived in the near future. And also those second-hand EV trading data will contribute to form or reference that can be applied to international trade of second-hand EVs. The growth of not only BEV, but also plug-in hybrid and hybrid electric vehicle is noteworthy. Although policies for HEV differ from each country, PHEV and HEV also contains batteries, right? It is obvious that. So for HEV, currently nickel metal hydride battery is widely used, but the adoption of LFP batteries is also increasing, just like BEV. So you need to care for those HEV as well for the battery management. And there is an argument that measuring state of health, SOH or battery is not enough to judge properly the battery performance because, for example, there are two EVs with the identical SOH, but they could have been degrading at a different trend. So you can see in the plot on the slide that on a certain moment, EV1 and EV2 have a same SOH, but their trends are different, right? So EV2 in this regard actually the better in terms of state of health of the battery, right? So it's degrading slower than the EV1. And yeah, it's a controversial at this moment. And lastly, I can mention that the Korea government is pursuing an amendment to the Clean Air Conservation Act I just mentioned in the previous slide that would extend the mandatory operation period of EVs in Korea from 5 years to 8 years. This is to encourage the reuse and recycling of the batteries and prevent reckless export to the foreign countries. Okay, I guess this is it for today. So I guess now the place are open to the questions.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Yoon. I think it's really valuable, isn't it, to share insights and learnings from countries that are maybe a little further along the curve than our DMCs. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and experience of Korea with us all today. Some really interesting policies and context you've covered there. And it does strike me that providing confidence to consumers in the quality and longevity of the battery really does appear to be key. So in terms of questions, please do send them through in the Q&A, and I'll pick them up. See, they're starting to come through, which is fantastic. Just to kick off, June, I think it feels like a fairly obvious question to ask and probably a good place to start. But how does the secondhand market for EVs in Korea compare to other countries? And what do you think Korea is getting especially right?
Oh yeah, I have not researched the secondhand car market in other countries, so I only dig into the cases in Korea. So I cannot say what is relatively good or bad right now. I mean, at this moment, but I can tell that the Korea's investments in technology development to create an enabling environment for EV battery performance evaluation. And also they allowed those vehicle manufacturers to directly operate their own second-hand car market are seen as a positive factor for promoting the second-hand EV market.
Super, thanks, Jun. And Echo asks, is there any experience in Korea that the EV manufacturer selling so-called refurbished batteries as a spare part, or even selling a refurbished EV?
I don't think we have those kind of we have many cases of those kind of refurbished batteries or something, because as I already mentioned, those acts in Korea now regulate those kind of recycling and reuse of batteries, right? To promote more. But so far as I studied or I researched, a little of damage to the battery, they just replace it to the fully new one. So it has been controversial for years. So I guess the government is now come up with the regulations for those kind of refurbish or reuse or retrofit of the batteries.
Thanks, Stu-Win. We've got more questions coming through. I think there's two on a common theme here. So does Korea have any policies on the international trade of used EVs? I'm imagining that's possibly from a sort of an export angle. And where can we obtain data on international trade of EVs, new and used?
So it was fully related to my previous slide. So Korea was regulating the operation of an EV at least 5 years, right? So now they are trying to expand those period from 5 to 8 years. So far, I can say there has been no export to the foreign countries. They regulated it. Like there are many regions because like they wanted the batteries within Korea because all those materials are so rare and the valuable. So and also promotes the recycling and the reuse for the purpose of carbon reduction. So I can say there is no data and there is no actual official exports of EVs from the outside of Korea. So when you see EVs from Korea, it's a secondhand. Probably that's illegal. So I'm so sorry to tell you that, but that's a policy we can take as a benchmark. So EU is also, they are regulating and those exports of EV and including batteries to remain their continent or their territory, for some period. So yeah, so I can say that I can answer with 5 years and 8 years of the mandatory operation in Korea can be the answer for your question.
Thanks, Stu-Win. And just reflecting, I think in terms of, it strikes me that it's quite a complex ecosystem here between sort of public and private sector players. What roles do you think the public and private sectors should play ideally in the development of a second-hand EV market? Is conscious there are lots of policies here which presumably are driven by government, but also there are some very powerful OEMs and other players in the market too.
So yeah, I told you there has been public-private partnership in many ways in Korea's cases. So we can say the public sector, the governments must reorganize all the regulatory systems for the second-hand vehicle. Second-hand EV, second-hand market, and they need to lead the investments for technological development, and also vice versa. The private sector will need to develop technologies in collaboration with the government, such as the battery performance evaluation, and they can come up with many ideas to promote the second-hand EV market. Yeah, and that's a role of the private sector all the time. So yeah, I told you that the interesting policies like the Korea government, they gave subsidy to the buyers of EVs, but at the same time they regulate and mandate their a mandatory operation period or possession period. So there is the government, the rules of governments are very important, I guess, so far for EV promotion and the battery management and regulation.
Thanks, Julian. And just building on that, I think we have another question coming through. Is there also a price standard for the second-hand market? for EVs or battery electric vehicles, based perhaps on the battery performance?
So the price is standard. So that's the one we need to see from those how can I say, purchase records of EVs. So but that can be somehow, I guess, classified information for business purpose for years. I mean, now I mentioned Kia, Hyundai, Tesla, they operate their own second-hand market, right? So sooner or later, they will have a bunch of data, and those data will present or indicate those relationship between the battery performance and the price of EV. But I don't think they soon, release those information, I mean, for public region. But there will be a bunch of private sector analysis, right? So I can say, like, within 2 years or 3 years, there should be an obvious trend, or we can track down the record, right? So those based on the transaction records of EVs. So yeah, maybe within 2 years, I guess we can get those kind of data.
Thanks, Julian. And I have a question from Mahir in the chat, which is: Are there any limits on life cycle for second-hand EVs after resale, i.e., any particular time periods specified by government for which a second-hand EV can be used by a buyer?
So is it continuity? There is a continuity. Even so, I told you that for 2 years I had to maintain the as a buyer, or I mean, I had to maintain the possession of EV for 2 years, and if I resale that EV to other buyer, the mandatory period of the 5 years of 5 year remaining in Korean territory still, transport to the next buyer, right? So you understand. So the regulatory the impacts still remain the same from the first-hand user to the second-hand user. So now they are amending the rule. The mandatory period from 5 years to 8 years. So regardless of who possesses the vehicle, that vehicle should remain in the Korean territory for 8 years, right? So yeah, the regulation goes all the way down to the last users.
Thanks, Julian. And yeah, the questions keep coming in, which is fantastic. Thank you, everyone, for sending them through. Eka asks again, if a Korean EV manufacturer plant producing overseas, how do they treat a disposable battery? Is it an export back to Korea or reuse, recycle at the country where they produce the car?
Okay, it is related to the previous question. So I told you that Korea government still, I'm not sure, but still doesn't have a very concrete and very effective solutions for battery reuse or recycle. So that's why they just extend the mandatory period to be remained in Korean territory, right? So now they are developing the way of reuse or the recycle of EV battery for the time being for those 8 years. So again, I told you that they do not allow the export of EVs, right, from Korea to other country. Those EVs sold in Korea should remain in Korea for 5 years now, but it will be 8 years next year. So I can say 8 years, those EVs should remain within Korean territory. And those 8 years, Korea government is trying to develop the effective way of reuse and recycle the EV battery. And at the same time, they will develop, I believe, the way of effectively export those second-hand vehicles to other countries. So it is all related also the battery performance certification, right? So that's one thing we all worrying about, right? Those very like the very useless batteries can be exported to the other countries. So Korea government also block those kind of bad trade. So in a way, as a mandatory period to be remained in Korean territory for 8 years.
Super. Thanks, Jiwoon. And Verenia asks if we want to encourage ecosystem for second-hand EV market, what are the key factors we should consider? And if that's an Indonesia context question, or if that's a DMC, I guess a DMC angle on that more generally as well.
I guess that's a very good question. So always benchmarking the cases from other countries, right? Good option, right? So that's why I digged into the Korean cases. So I believe the DMC government should check first those technical requirements to promote the second-hand EV market. I come up with the key is, I believe the key is the how to evaluate and verify and certify the battery performance, right? So there should be the trust within the market. So that's first thing. So to establish those trust within the market, there is a technical requirements as well as regulatory requirements. So that's the role of the government. And as I mentioned in the beginning, benchmarking the other countries can be a way to having that kind of solutions. So yeah, they can develop their own technology to evaluate the battery performance, or they can import already developed technologies from Korea or other countries. So it depends. Yeah, but I recommend start with all the overcoming policies for the technical requirements and regulatory requirements.
Brilliant. Thanks, Jiwoon. And this has been an excellent session, and we've had lots of really good questions as well coming from the audience. I'm conscious time is pressing on a little bit, so I propose we end it here and we move on. But thank you to everybody for joining today, and thanks particularly for Jiwoon for your presentation. I think it's a topic of great interest for all of us in the region, and something that I know we probably no one has quite cracked just yet, and there's still learnings taking place in Korea and elsewhere. So hopefully they'll continue over the years ahead. We will share the recording of this webinar with you all, and after the session, and the webinar will also be available on ADB's Transport's YouTube channel as well. So the next session will be on accelerating freight decarbonisation in Asia, lessons from eFast India by Shivari Patki on the 8th of May at the same time, 3 p.m. Manila time. And we look forward to seeing you there. Thanks so much for everyone again, and wish you have pleasant rest of your day. Thanks so much.